write JavaScript, there is always risks of errors occurring in our code. And it's very important to learn and to know how to handle these errors and what to do with them so that they don't negatively impact the user's experience of a program or website in a major way. And a common way to handle these errors then that can occur is with a method called try and catch. And these are basically blocks of code where we basically try different parts of our program, and if they don't pass this try or this test, they will be caught in a catch block where we can handle the error that appeared. And this will become more easy to understand now that I show it to you. And to demonstrate this, I will write a function which I will be called check stuff, and this will be an arrow function. And this function, it will receive a parameter which I will call stuff. And what I will do with this stuff here is that I will basically want to log it out to the screen. And before I log it out to the screen, I will try the operations that I run on this stuff variable and catch any possible errors that can occur with it. So the way I do this is that I write a try and catch block like this. I write try, and then the things I want to try, and then I write catch, and then the catch block receives and takes in a parameter basically, which is an error, and then it handles that error within its block. And the thing I want to try here is that I want to say that if stuff, so if stuff is set, so if stuff here contains something, so if we have passed something to the function, then I want to console.log stuff basically, so what we have passed to our function. Else I want to console.log a message which will say pass me a value. And in this catch block here, the only thing I will do is that if it would occur an error in this try block here while we run this, when we run this code, I would simply console.log out first a string, an error occurred, and then as a second parameter to my console.log, I will basically log out the error that occurred. And I will save this, and then I will basically call this function. So check stuff, and I will first pass it a string that I say hello there, and then I save this and I refresh, and as we can see, the function, no errors occurred, so it ran hello there. It went in through our first if statement here, and since stuff contains something, it runs hello there. If I would just call the function like this, it most likely still would pass because it would come into our else block here and run this instead, pass me a value. So if I run this, we see that we get pass me a value. But what if an error would occur? For example, if we would mistype console here, console.log, so this wouldn't clear. If I would refresh this now, we can see that we get this printed out instead. And we got what it prints out is an error occurred, like we print out here, and then it prints out the error, and it says reference error. Console is not defined. So what happens is our catch block here catches the error, and then it handles it in the way that we tells it to. We console.log out the error. And this is the way that why this is so important to know how to do is that because we might not want to for the page to just freeze and break and show nothing. We might to be able to, for example, want to do, instead of console.logging an error out, we might want to here in this catch block here do a redirect to another error page and then display the error out on the page there. So for example, or just display the error out on the page here. So what I could do, for example, is that I could create a new div here, div, and then give it an ID of error. And then what I could do is that instead of console.logging this out, I could just say document.getElementById, and then we called the div error, and then set the inner HTML of this div to the error. And then if I refresh this, we can see that we print out the error here. So then we can give the user an indication that something went wrong, or we could just simply, instead of printing out the error, we could just write something went wrong. Please try again. And if I would refresh this now, we can see that we get this error message printed out here instead. So this is a way that we can handle errors that occur without having them just appearing and then the user have no idea what to do or how to proceed or why the application certainly froze. Sometimes we might also want to print out more customized error messages depending on what error actually occurs. And to do this, we introduce a keyword called throw. And what this keyword basically lets us do is to basically supply our code here with a custom error message dependent on what went wrong. And to demonstrate this, I will create a new function. So const, and I will call this pass me numbers. And then I will create this into an arrow function. And this arrow function, it will take a number here as a parameter. And what I want to do here now is I want to write a try and catch block again. So try and catch. catch takes an error as usual. And then I will write a new test here basically with an if-else chain. So if, and then I will say number is smaller than 1, then what I want to do is I want to throw an error that says number is too small. And then else if number is larger than 10, I want to throw another error that says number is too big. Sorry. And then else if number is not specified, or not, we haven't been passed a number, then I want to throw another error that's saying please pass me a number. And then else if the number is not smaller than 1, not bigger than 10, and it is actually submitted, I want to console.log out that number works fine. And then here in my catch block, what I want to do is basically just do the same thing as we did in our previous catch block. I just want to console.log out a string, and this is just for readability. We could just console.log out the error straight away, but I think this looks nicer. Occurred, and then the error. And what's going to happen now is that if we receive an error here in our test, so if we pass in a 0, for example, then this throw keyword here is going to basically submit this message that we created here, this string, to the catch block and replace the standardized error message with this error message that we had created here. So I'm going to save this and I refresh. Oh, and then we see nothing happens because I haven't called the function. So if I console, or if I basically just call the function here, pass me numbers, and then if we pass it as 0, and then run this, we can see that we see an error occurred. Number is too small, because the number that we passed is 0, so it's smaller than 1, so it doesn't pass the first test. So then the error that is thrown is number is too small. So this is submitted here to the catch block as the error message, and then it gets console.logged out here. We could just as well do a document.getElementById. So I will just copy this, and then we can just set the inner HTML to the error here instead. And I won't call this check stuff function here, since they both target the same div. So when I save that now and refresh this, we can see that we get, instead of console.logging it out like we did before, we can see that we get it printed out to the screen here. Number is too small. If I change this to, let's say, 15, which is larger than 10, I'll refresh this, then we see that we get number is too big instead, because it passes this test that it's not smaller than 1. Then it goes down to here, and we see that but it's larger than 10. So then it throws this error instead. Number is too big, and it catches it, and then it runs this block of code here. And if I would not submit anything, then we can see that if I run this now, we get this error message. Please pass me a number, because we can see that number is not defined here. But if I pass it, for example, 5, that is between 1 and 10, and save, we can see that it console.logs out that number works fine. And since we don't have an error, we don't get anything here in our inner HTML of our error div here. And that is an insight of how we can handle errors and how we work with the try-catch block.